G'day legends, we just finished UFC Fight Not... Excuse me, I've been up for a very long time. G'day legends, we just finished Imavov versus Borralho. Bloody nailed it. And it was an amazing card. It was an amazing card. 10 out of 10 card. 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. 9.7 out of 10. Such a good card. There could have been a finish in the main event. There could have been a finish there. And William Gomez versus Robert Rachala could have had a finish as well, even though that was still an exciting fight. But let's go over it. Let's go over some of the highlights. I won't go over every single fight, even though pretty much every single fight on this card was amazing. Even the main event, which didn't end in a finish, but I still found to be highly entertaining. Now, first of all, 50-45. Get absolutely rooted, the French Commission. 50-45. Really. Get stuffed. There's no bloody way that was 50-45. Now, it was dominant by Nassourdine Imavov. Absolutely. I loved his pocket boxing. I loved the way that he puts together the combinations and rips to the body. It was so good to see. And Kyle Borralho, when I thought he was fading, he ends up having his best round in the third round. I gave the third round to Kyle Borralho. He's working his way back into the fight. I'm worried. Oh my God, Nassourdine Imavov is starting to gas. Then round 4 comes. It seems like Nassourdine is a little bit slower, but oh no, he's got his second win, and he's starting to mount the attack as well. We get into the 5th round. Some people have got it 2-2. I could understand the argument for round 1 going towards Kyle Borralho. It was close, but I gave it to Nassourdine Imavov. So we're sitting there, the start of round 5. Is it 3 to Nassourdine? Is it 2 each? I don't know, but I'm finding it bloody exciting. And then round 5 is just both fighters wanting to go to war and not quit. It was such a great technical battle where both of them showed a lot of grit. Now, there were fouls in every direction here. I'm annoyed at Marc Goddard for not taking a point in the 5th round, even though both guys were fouling. There was a strike to the groin towards the end of the 2nd round from Kyle Borralho, and I think that was Kyle Borralho gassing out, and he thought, you know what, I'm going to give myself a little 5-minute break here. Why don't you cop that, Nassourdine, and kneed him right in the balls, which is good for Kyle, because then Nassourdine needs time to recover, and Kyle can get his breath back. And I do think he was having trouble pacing himself in this fight, because at the end of the 2nd round, Kyle Borralho just chooses to walk away from the fight like 3 seconds early, which was very buddy surprising. Anyway, as the fight goes on, Kyle is starting to mount an attack again, as we were saying, and Nassourdine pokes him in the eye. Right? Now, you get one eye poke. I don't even think you should get one eye poke, just by the way. You're already warned backstage before the fight starts. During the fight, if you are jousting, the ref will say to you, keep them up or keep it a closed fist. And then if we get to the point where fingers are now going into the eye, to me, that is an instant point deduction. But Marc Goddard doesn't want to do it, and we proceed all the way to the 3rd round, where once again, Kyle Borralho is starting to mount a bit of an attack, and whether or not a fighter does it on purpose, I like Nassourdine. That was a very entertaining fight. I believe Nassourdine earns the next title shot. I hate that I've got to preamble all of this, because how dare you, if someone's name is Chimaev or Imavov or Imavov, if you say anything negative, there is just going to be this tidal wave of hate. So you know what? Fuck it. Kyle Borralho was mounting his attack, and Nassourdine Imavov was jousting to keep Kyle Borralho at bay, and exactly what happens when a fighter is jousting happened. You run into the fingers. That is why fighters use jousting as range control. They are holding the hands up there to find their range, but if you want to break the range and get into striking distance, you have got to get around the oncoming fighter's fingers. It is a defensive form of fighting that fighters utilize all the fucking time. And in a number 1 contenders fight, where it could be 2-2 going into the 5th round, Nassourdine Imavov is jousting as Kyle Borralho is mounting his attack. And Marc Goddard doesn't take the point. Is it Nassourdine's fault? Fuck no. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. This is war, motherfucker. This is MMA. This is fucking cage fighting, yeah? Nassourdine should be doing everything he can to try and secure himself a title shot. Cheat. You're gonna get away with it anyway, as Marc Goddard just proved to all of us, so fuck it. Cheat. Knee him in the balls, claw their eyes out, pull their hair, do all that. Fight like a woman. Absolutely fight like a woman. The refs apparently are completely powerless to stop it, except just beg for you to play. Please don't do it again. Otherwise, I have to take a point. Please, I beg of you, don't do it again. I've got no means to make you stop doing it. You know what'll make the fighters stop doing it? You start taking a point away every single time. Anyway, didn't ruin the fight for me. Just a moment of note. Like I said, the rest of the fight, insanely entertaining. I love the heart from Caio Borralho. I love the humbleness in defeat from Caio Borralho. I love the body work and the speed that he can put together his combinations from Nassourdine Imavov. Phenomenal. I also love the humbleness of Nassourdine Imavov after the fight as well. To be like, oh, my people in Paris, do not stab this man as he leaves the arena. It's just a show. We're putting on the show for the boys. Like, that's essentially what I say about everything. When we do the channel, when we do all the shit talking about the fighters, like it's a sport, it's a show. We're just booing the other team. Don't take it so bloody personally. Nassourdine gets it, so Nassourdine's one of the boys. Don't stab someone over just talking shit during sport. Good on him. What did we learn about Nassourdine versus Khamzat Chimaev? To me, not a bloody lot. I do not think Nassourdine Imavov beats Khamzat Chimaev. Doesn't mean I do not think Nassourdine doesn't earn the title shot. I think Nassourdine Imavov, having beat Jared Cannonier, Israel Adesanya, and now an undefeated Caio Borralho going into this fight in the UFC. Undefeated in the UFC, was he? Yes, undefeated in the UFC. God, I have such a good memory. The best memory in MMA, I tell you, boys. Yeah, number one, knocking out Israel Adesanya should get you a title shot in the middleweight division in 2024, 2025 anyway. Right, but then after knocking out Israel Adesanya, knocking out a raging contender who was on a undefeated streak, Nassourdine is the next one to get it. I am not Dougie Dana White. Unfortunately, I don't get to say who gets the next title shot. But yes, Nassourdine deserves it. We are going to have RDR versus Ruffy. And whoever wins in more entertaining fashion and is the least injured will get the next title shot at Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat will fight before Ramadan next year. He took no injuries in the DDP fight. How could he? You can't injure yourself lying down. So they're going to want to run Khamzat just before he goes into Ramadan, which will probably be January or February, right? Now, Nassourdine apologized after the fight and said there was something wrong with his heel. Yeah, he tore something in his leg just before the fight started, which is why he didn't have the flowy movement that he usually has. Which means Nassourdine is injured, and he just went to a decision without any big moments, you know what I mean? So unfortunately for the way that the UFC is set up, Nassourdine Imavov is, we don't know if he's below the winner of Ruffy versus RDR, but Ruffy versus RDR has got to be a real fucking stinker. It's got to be a real fucking stinker. Otherwise, Nassourdine, I'm feeling like in the race to Chimaev, he's not off to the best start. Now, is this the most fair way to run things? No, it absolutely isn't. The most fair way to run things is the way the PFL runs things, and I've said it 1,000 times before. If you wanted a meritocracy in MMA, you'd watch the PFL, but none of you do. They have fuck all views on their videos. No one watches the PFL, so you don't want a meritocracy. So all the bitching and complaining about Nassourdine fucking deserves it, shut the fuck up. You don't care. You're watching the UFC. You're not watching the PFL. These are the facts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be a prick about it, but prove me wrong. Watch the PFL. I bet you can't. I bet you won't. It's very boring. But still, I think meritocratically speaking, Nassourdine has earned it, and good on him. And he's a great bloke, humble in victory. You love to see it. Knows how to sell the fight with Caio. His manager was getting into it with Prates. Sick boxing combinations. Great ability to grapple and keep it on the feet, although that is against Caio Borralho. I think Imavov is a little bit more of a dominating figure in the wrestling than Caio Borralho is, and that's that. I think that's enough to talk about on the main event. I don't think I missed anything else. Mark Goddard's shit reffing. Caio, yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Let's leave that there. Let's talk about Benoit Saint Denis versus Ruffy. Man, was I wrong. For as right as I was about the Nassourdine Imavov call, you're bloody welcome, I couldn't have been more wrong about the Ruffy call. Benoit steamrolled him, Benoit looked great, you know, and the last time that we saw Benoit wasn't the Dustin Poirier fight. It was over in Canada, where he was fighting a short notice guy, literally a short notice guy that just trains down at the local gym. He'd been kicked out of the UFC and he was just a coach at the local gym. That's who Benoit fought in his last fight, and he kind of looked like shit. He did kind of look like shit. Then he gets Ruffy in this fight. Ruffy has handled a grappler before that we have seen with our own eyes, and Ruffy managed it, but Benoit just was a step ahead of him. Now, I've seen people, and I even had people in the live stream being like, oh, Ruffy's grappling is shit. I don't think it's shit. Like, he managed to get himself back up onto the feet several times throughout the grappling transitions. It was just Benoit had a little bit more for him. And then there is a moment in round 2 where Ruffy lands this beautiful flying knee. You can hear it land. At least I heard it land. Some people saying it didn't land clean. I'm pretty sure I heard it land. And then follows up with this, is it a hammer fist or an uppercut? I don't remember. But he follows up with a shot afterwards. Now, I think the shot barely misses. But either way, Ruffy fucking cracks him with the knee and a follow-up. And I could see the glint in Ruffy's eyes fade in that moment. I know it's a weird thing to say. I know I'll cop shit for saying that. I understand. But it's just something I notice sometimes in fighters' eyes. If you're like someone who watches the live streams with me a lot, I'll talk about it during the fights where I can see a fighter give up or I can see a fighter bite down in their mouth guard. And I could see Ruffy, when he landed that shot, there was an emotion that came out of him. I'm legit, I felt it, where he was like, that was my best shot. Fuck. And moments later, Ruffy is on the ground, he's on his elbows and his knees, he is no longer creating scrambles, BSD is winning the positions, and Ruffy gets choked out in a crank, it's not under the chin, it's on a crank, and he's not fighting the hands, and it's that old Chael Sonnen adage of, I was looking for a way out of there. That's how I felt that fight went down, which I was surprised by, because I thought, being training partners with Gene Silva, who is a little fucking bulldog of a bloke, and everything that goes on at the Fighting Nerds and how much they are so well-rounded, I thought he'd have a little bit more, but yeah, there we go. So the Fighting Nerds, they're not getting fraud checked, but I think we are now starting to see where the Fighting Nerds ceiling is. And it's rolling around with good matchmaking just inside of the top 15. That seems to be the Fighting Nerds level, which puts a huge amount of pressure on Gene Silva next week against Diego Lopez, right? Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. Paul Craig, Scotland forever. Scotland. I said Paul Craig would pull guard and Modestas Bukauskas would be raining down shots on top of him and beat the shit out of him. And Paul Craig tried a couple of body kicks of doom. He mixed in a few oblique kicks this time as well. Really changed up his game. Wasn't just a body kick of doom. There was a few oblique kicks too. But either way, the fight progressed the way that all Paul Craig fights do. He pulled guard, tried to see if he could get his absolute fluke of a submission again, and I know all the Scots in chat will now take their bow and fulfill their end of the bet and write in the comments section, yes, all of Paul Craig's wins were absolute flukes. You can begin typing that now, help me. And Bukauskas just started raining down the elbows, and right as the bell went off, Paul Craig went to sleep. I know I have fun laughing at Paul Craig, and it is from like the sportingness side of things because, this is the sport, this is the game, and it is funny to laugh at Paul Craig pulling guard and getting the shit beaten out of him. But outside of Paul Craig's fighting, he's an absolute lad. He's always willing to have a fucking go, and it's been a pleasure having him in the UFC because you do never know when fucking shit is just going to happen for Paul Craig. He is the flukiest fighter that ever fluked. And it's been an absolute honor to watch him at the weigh-ins pretending to be Braveheart and then getting the shit kicked out of him and then just doing it all again. And then 1 in 5 times he gets a win. It's been great. So I hope Paul Craig goes on to have a great coaching career in Scotland, maybe a great commentary career over at Cage Warriors. I know he loves going to every single Cage Warriors event. And Paul Craig, thank you for all the ladness throughout the years, mate. Enjoy your retirement. Mason Jones versus Borralho Yoki. Fuck me, did Mason Jones get a fan tonight? Holy shit, brother. Round 1, Borralho Yoki drops him and then just treats Mason Jones as a fucking heavy bag. Like, just goes off on him. And the saying once again comes true. The Welsh are too dumb to know when they should be slept. I'm pretty sure that's a saying. If not, let's make it a saying. Because that fucking concrete Welsh skull just did not know that it was meant to go unconscious. And he's like, yep, no, call an ambulance for yourself, motherfucker. Turns it on in round 2. And everyone's like, holy shit, is Borralho Yoki starting to fade here because he's gassing? I think it was a mix of things. Like, obviously, Borralho is starting to fade and gas because of just the relentless trauma that he put on the heavy bag that is Mason Jones. But also, towards the very end of round 1, Mason Jones really started to find the body kicks with the teep, and that slapping body kick, they started to land really well. And just like one or two were just sneaking through, and then the round ends, and then the next round begins, and another one sneaks through. And you mix that as well as beating on a heavy bag for 4 minutes, and Oki is starting to fade. And fucking Mason Jones just works the elbows, brother, and it is a thing of absolute beauty. A thing of absolute beauty. Let's go to Axel Sosa versus Reece McKee. I picked McKee. I had a bad night on picks. I didn't go negative, but I didn't have a great night on picks. The highlight of the fight is really... The whole fight's great. The whole fight is great. Go, like, obviously you watch it. I don't need to say go back and watch it. The whole fight's great. But the end of the fight is where everyone's having a little bitch. And again, I'll just be the dude that says the truth that people don't want to hear. You don't like the end of it because it was a fraction, maybe early, maybe, but it was a fair stoppage, but it could have gone on for another second or two. But you don't like it because the French guy won, and it's Herb Dean. And we all hate Herb Dean, and Herb Dean is notoriously bad at stoppages. And he is. This one wasn't notoriously bad. It really fucking was. It was not notoriously bad. Like... No one's bitching about the Sam Patterson Trey Waters stoppage, where Trey Waters is literally standing up. It's a standing TKO, and his arms are still flailing around. But the ref jumps in on that one. Sam Patterson gives him the fucking look like, I got you, mate. Everyone starts cheering, loving it. Oh my God, what an amazing fight. Awesome. Look at him beat the shit out of him. And he did beat the shit out of him. But that one was an early stoppage. That one was an early stoppage. This one here, right? Axel Sosa... gut shot on Reece McKee. Reece McKee drops like a sack of shit and then covers up. And Axel's on him, raining down hammer fists on the ears, not at the back of the head. And from the angle that Herb Dean is on, the angle that Herb Dean is seeing is Reece McKee get hit to the stomach and then drop like a sack of shit while Axel Sosa is beating on his head. So Herb's like, all right, this is a young fighter. He's got a long career ahead of him. I'll just get in there and stop it. Turns out Reece McKee wasn't all the way out, but... It was a matter of like a few seconds. That's all it was. It was a perfectly acceptable stoppage that people crashed out on. But again, I didn't notice them crashing out on the Sam Patterson stoppage. Weird that. William Gomez versus Robert Ochala, the only other decision on the card, but it was still a fucking great decision. Polish power didn't seem to carry through. Still fucking great though. Umar Sy versus Brenton Ribeiro was another sick. They were all sick ones, but I don't want to break down every single one. I do want to break down Ante Delija. I got this one wrong, but I'm so happy that Ante Delija won. I really am. Number one, because when you really look at where he was born, I know his flag is Croatian, but he's technically Serbian. Technically, like back in 1993 when the borders were all over the place. I know they think that he was born in Dubrovnik. This is not true. This is not true. That's just something that Tapology fills in because, trust me, when you get to the Balkans, things get a little bit mixed up. But when you really look into his proper family lineage, he was born just outside of Dubrovnik on the Serbian side of Dubrovnik. So it was good for yet another Serbian to get a win in the UFC. Based Serbia, Slava Serbia. Enough of that nonsense. No, I'm happy that he won because, number one, the heavyweight division absolutely needs it. We need new life into it. And there's just this fun little meme going around now, isn't there? That Tom Aspinall is so far ahead of the UFC heavyweight division. Him and his dad have started recruiting their own heavyweight division at their own gym. And they are going to try and make contenders for Tom Aspinall to actually fight. He's so sick of the blobs in the UFC. He's already worked his way through all the fucking blobs in the UFC heavyweight division. That Aspinall is just like, I'll do it myself. I'll find my own contenders. It's fucking... When have we ever been in a situation like this where the champion has to train up his own contenders? The division is that fucking useless. I love it, man. I love it. I got tricked into the UFC experience thing. You know, it was a pick where I was going to flip a coin on it. And you can't be angry when you get those picks wrong because you literally were like 50-50. I should have picked the Serbian and not the 48-year-old Marcin Tybura. Not 48. How old is he? 38, 39? He's fucking old, mate. 38. Yeah. Yeah, that was a bad pick. But anyway, it is what it is. I want to talk about Harry Hardwick next versus Fernandez. Number one from Fernandez. Some people are angry at the showboating. You know, Hardwick took it up a weight class on 4 days' notice. I get it, but I don't mind the showboating too much. But Hardwick is that kind of fighter that I was talking about. The fight in the fighter, where instantly his calves are completely crippled. Like, almost straight away. Like, the second Fernandez lands that calf kick, you can already start to see the swelling. And you can see Hardwick go, well, fuck me, mate. This is going to hurt tomorrow. And he literally shrugs it off and bites down on his mouth guard. I don't need to have some sort of weird sixth sense where I'm like emotionally channeling the fighter. No, you can just see it on Hardwick's face where he's like, fuck it, this is going to sting. And he marches into the fire. What a fucking Chad. If you're going to give the fighters shit, you have got to give them credit when they do something like that. You know, when Nasruddin Imavov has been a great bloke at the end of the post-fight speech where he's like, be nice to Kaio and his family, you got to give him credit for that. And when Harry Hardwick is being the opposite of Anthony Smith, and he's just biting down on the mouth guard and he is just marching forward, excellent. I can't wait to see him back in the UFC. Stick him in the lightweight division. Give him some bloke in lightweight that's like, you know the type, 37. Name a 37-year-old lightweight. Can't right now. I'm too fucking tight. But you know what I'm saying. Give him one of them. Give him a win. Get him started again. Keep him in the UFC. Fucking love to see it. Love to see it. Brad Tavares just got pressured. That's going to happen. Poland. Based Poland. Andreas Gustafsson versus Rinat Frakatinov. Well done to Rinat Frakatinov. Really well done. Amazing pressure moving forward. Andreas Gustafsson, he doesn't usually fight like this. MMA is so weird, isn't it? I swear to God, so much of it comes down into just plain and simple this question. What mood is the fighter in? Yeah, that's the question. What mood is the fighter in? Because Andreas Gustafsson is usually forward pressure like a marauder, a monster. And not like harsh pressure, but it's more messy, grimy grappling style. In this one, he threw an overhand or a low. He threw one thing and then instantly just went into Anthony Smith mode and started doing his best Anthony Smith impression. Which, if you don't know what Anthony Smith mode is, and you've just started watching MMA, Anthony Smith just covers up, real tight guard. So he makes sure that he leaves the sides of his head open and he makes sure he leaves his body open. Like the guard is like this. And then he sort of just crouches over towards the shots and allows you to he just allows you to rip to the body and rip to the side of the head. That's Anthony Smith maxing. And then he sort of just falls over. And Andreas Gustafsson did the exact same thing. Just got pressured by Rinat Frakatinov. It was good to see. And it's good for Rinat to finally get a legitimate win. And then well done to Sam Hughes as well, because Shauna Bannon did her best Molly McCann impression. Winning, lad! Offbeat armbar, lad! It's over, crucifix, lad! Yeah, classic Shannon Bonham. Good stuff. Great card. Like I said, if William Gomez and Robert Ruchala had a little bit more war on it, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 card. I'm going to give it a 9.9, 9.8. Such a good card, mate. How did I go on picks? Good question to ask myself. How did I go on picks? I picked Gustafsson, didn't get it. 0-1. Tavares, didn't get it. 0-2. Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters, I did Patterson, 1-2. Fernandez versus Hardwick, 2-2. Tybura versus D'Elia, 2-3. Umar Sy versus Brenson Ribeiro, 3-3. Gomez, Richella, 4-3. McKee versus Axel Souza, 4-4. Aloki versus Mason Jones. Thank God I picked Jones. 5-4. Bukauskas. Who didn't pick Bukauskas? 6-4. Ruffy. 6-5. Imavov. 7-5. Big card to make calls on. Hard card to make calls on. Crazy card to make calls on. But I picked Imavov, who was the underdog, which is wild to me. I don't know why Imavov was the underdog, but he was. So I'll take that. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Yeah, I'll take that. Anyway, there you go. UFC Paris. Great crowd. Amazing work to the Parisians. You guys are it's just a fact. If you're from Paris and you're an MMA fan, give yourself a pat on the back. Not only are you European, so most of the time, your fight night cards are just at the worst time zone ever. I've experienced it now several times this year. And you guys are the most hardcore fans in the world. But even out of the most hardcore fans in the world, which are the European MMA fans, the French crowd yet again proves just how phenomenal they are. And the atmosphere atmosphere is insane. And to the head of the TKO group, go fuck yourself if you think we can't tell the difference between Paris and the O2 Arena and Derek Lewis in Texas and the fucking Apex. Eat a dick. There is a huge difference. Even the RACV Arena in Perth, Melbourne crowds and Sydney crowds are a little bit too. But the Perth crowds, they're lads. But the Paris crowds, God, you make watching MMA an absolute pleasure. You really do. There we go. That was UFC Paris. I hope you enjoyed the recap. I certainly enjoyed the night. I want to thank everybody that has been putting up with my streams lately. I know that the internet has been an issue. I am doing everything I can to try and fix it as quickly as possible, as you guys know if you're watching along on the streams. If this is your first time here, g'day and welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every day of the week, and I try and go live whenever the Australian internet lets me go live. Hit the subscription button and the notification bell down there to know when you're going to see a stream crash again near you. Let me know down there in the comments, how did you go on your picks? Did you pick every fight on the card? Every men's fight on the card? We need to talk about this on Monday. If you're one of the bloody legends of the channel, your names are up on the next slide. And until then, you guys have yourselves a great day. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.